You've spent all week preparing for the session, only for your players to completely skip that specific part, chase a background NPC, and start negotiating with someone that you haven't even created a name for. Sound familiar? As a GM, your greatest prep tool is your imagination, but only if you know how to wield it in the moment. Today on the Bearded Nerd podcast, we're diving into the art of improv. I'll show you how to think on your feet, make quick decisions that feel intentional, and build entire scenes with nothing but your players' chaos and a little bit of GM confidence. So let's turn those blank stares into brilliant moments on this episode of the Bearded Nerd podcast. Let's ask ourselves, why is improv such a GM superpower? In my opinion, improv builds trust. Players feel like they can go anywhere. It makes your world feel alive and reactive, and it turns pretty much everything unexpected into unforgettable. I've had so many opportunities to improv. Heck, my last Star Wars 5e session was mostly improv. I had an idea of what the players wanted and where we were going to go, and I also had an idea of where the narrative was currently and where it should go, and just went along from there, right? It doesn't mean that I was winging it. It means that I've been listening and adapting and weaving my players' choices into the story. However, in order to start improvising, there are 5 rules that I believe GMs should follow. Number 1, the yes and rule. This is the golden rule from improv theater, right? Accept what the player is doing and build on it. Maybe your player asks, "Do I know the bartender? I feel like I would." And you can respond, "Actually, you do. And she looks surprised to see you. She thought that you were dead." And then let that moment go from there, right? The yes and rule is such a great rule because it allows for openness. It's like a tennis match, right? The player hits the ball towards you and then you strike forward. It's beautiful. You're not kind of fumbling about. It's a cool way to really build upon it. And you can go on YouTube and look at improv classes while you're on your lunch break or something like that. And you can kind of see how they do it. It's quite unique and it's really awesome. But yes, and that is number 1 rule that I highly recommend you start getting familiar with. From there, rule number 2, default to archetypes, not invented complexities. What do I mean by that? If you need a character fast, right? They say, "Oh, who's this person?" Just start simple. A friendly merchant, a corrupt guard, a cautious scholar. Add a quirk or 2 and a motive, you're good to go. It's a quick NPC template, right? So maybe the shopkeep is a retired adventurer and they have a weird collection of spoons, but they're old and they want to relive their past glory just one more time. And their name is John, and they ask about all your adventures. Go from there. That's plenty of foundational knowledge for you to kind of build upon there. Pretty much anything you say can be canon, right? So build small, build those foundations from simplicity. Rule number 3, reuse, rename, reskin. It's kind of like the old 90s recycling term, but reskin old monsters or NPCs, reskin old rooms and encounters, but in new ways. Maybe you had a goblin encounter in the first couple of sessions that you ran, and you need something kind of new or different. Well, maybe there's another goblin tribe or pack or group, and you reskin that encounter to be tougher with different abilities. Maybe those goblins learned from your attack or from your fight. And the rumor the rumor mill rather, in the goblin ranks have created them to be smarter and adaptable, right? So the players aren't going to notice. It'll still feel fresh to them, but the weight of the work will not be so much or so unbearable, right? Again, your goblin ambush could become more of like a toll inspection by bandits, if anything, or by corrupt city guards, things like that. It's pretty open-ended, which is why I love it. This rule is such a great rule because it also kind of builds upon the minimalist prep attitude or philosophy. Rule number 4, ask the players for help. When in doubt, put the question back on them. Example, you said your character trained here as a child? What's one thing you remember about this temple? It buys you time and deepens the player investment. I've always talked about deepening player investment, and this is a great way to do it. It allows them to also world build a bit. Again, it buys you time, but it takes the pressure off you. Not only is D&D and Daggerheart, Pathfinder, TTRPGs in general, collaborative storytelling games, but they're also collaborative world building games. You get to build a world with your players. This is in part how you do so. And lastly, use broad details first, then the specifics. Start with a feeling or a tone or a purpose, something of that nature. Then you can add the names and the history, right? One example, the tower looms dark against the cliffside. That right there is the object, the tower, looms dark. It's a dark feeling or connotation. And cliffside, location. Smoke is rising from the shattered top. Okay, now you're providing an incentive for your players to pursue. And as they investigate it, they notice that through maybe some history checks or something of that nature, that this is the tower of, let's say, the Tower of Infinite Screams, and it was used by a mad mage. I don't know, but it's something of that nature where you can add those details later, right? You can even, in a role player or in a more exploration type scene, you can provide the narrative you're walking through the cobblestone streets and you sense the air of excitement as festivities are beginning. And as you ask some of the villagers and NPCs, or the villagers and townsfolk of the NPCs, they all are chattering and discussing that it is the festival of the red moon. Something of that nature, right? You don't have to jump in and out, kind of like what I did, where you're diving into broad and then specific, broad and specific. That's my style of GMing, but I still use that same rule. I started off broad and went specific. This tool is really good for the layering aspect. It's kind of like drawing in black and whites and outlines and grayscales. And then the specifics are like the color that you add to that artwork, right? That has a lot of extraordinary benefits. And again, it saves you time and it deepens the player's sense into the world. You are attracting them, hooking them onto the scene, and you're also able to kind of give them a perspective. And that perspective allows them to answer questions specific, the question of, what would your character do now? Or what is your character thinking? Or what do you want your character to do? Again, it goes back to rule number 4, where you're asking the players, but it lays that groundwork. Now, we need tools. I always like to show tools and prompts for success. So, number one, I'm going to say it once and I'll say it again. Use random roll tables. These generators are phenomenal. You can go online and generate them. You can go on different social media platforms and find them. But generators are great because you can just roll a d6, and if you listened to the session prep episode, you can spend 10-15 minutes rolling your dice and choosing something that looks cool or that fits, or you can just choose on the spot and then go from there. And then you can kind of build upon those tables and use something similar, but I like to call it like a location vibes, or like a location meter of, okay, is this abandoned? Is this sacred? Is this cursed? Is this cozy? Is this bureaucratic? Right? What is the feeling and the connotation? Those are kind of like your tone anchors, right? Or your emotional anchors, rather. Your tone anchors, that's the third tool, is music, voices, posture, things that the characters can sense and the players can pick up on using the 5 senses, right? Sight, sound, touch, so on and so forth. Those are really beneficial as a tool. And then you can use the rule of 3. For every scene, prep 3 things: a threat, a choice, and a discovery. Again, I'll repeat this. For every scene, prep 3 things. Those are threats, choices, and discoveries. There is always an NPC, an item or event that you can use in any town with 0 prep. A guard, a sword, and a festival. A merchant, a scroll, and a tournament, right? You can pretty much pull those things out of your hat and use it in any town, right? The lift and shift method, and literally 0 prep time for it. So use those things, utilize those tools to save you time. For me, at least, I think improv isn't a backup plan, right? It's a skill that you have to build and that you can build. When you say yes, trust your gut. Let your players shape the world with you. You create the magic that no prep ever could when you improvise. So next time your players go off the rails, smile, do your best Matt Mercer smile if you will, and then follow along with them. If this episode helped build your confidence as a GM, share it with a fellow storyteller. And if you want a printable GM improv toolkit with prompts, archetypes, reusable templates, join us at the Guildhall. Specifically though, if you want prompts, NPC archetypes, and reusable templates that are scattered throughout the Patreon page, join us at the Guildhall. Until next time, y'all, keep your mind sharp, your world flexible, and keep it loose. Be kind and compassionate, y'all, and as always, keep gaming.